I don't date cripples. Those 4 words echoed through Moonbridge Cafe like a gunshot. Every customer froze. Rain hammered the windows. The woman who'd spoken, designer clothes, perfect makeup, grabbed her purse and walked out without looking back. The man in the wheelchair didn't move, didn't blink, but his knuckles went white on the armrests, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Han Ji-woon. The name you whispered never spoke. Leader of the Han Syndicate. A man who could end you with a phone call, and he'd just been dumped in public. Everyone stared at their coffee, at the floor, anywhere but at him. Fear and pity, the 2 things he hated most. Then the door opened. A girl stumbled inside, drenched and shaking, thin coat, shoes held together with duct tape. She kept her head down, trying to disappear. Amina Brooks, 23, 3 jobs, 1 missing brother. Zero idea that walking through that door would change everything. She looked up, searching for a seat. Her eyes met his. And Han Ji-woon smiled for the first time in 6 months. Not a kind smile, a predator's smile. Because he'd been watching her for 3 weeks, waiting for this exact moment. The moment she walked into his trap. Amina's breath caught. Something about the way he looked at her made her want to run, but her feet wouldn't move. "Come here," he said quietly. His voice carried authority that made her legs obey. Before her brain caught up, she found herself walking toward him, pulse racing. "I don't know you," she managed, "but I know you, Amina Brooks." He gestured to the empty chair across from him. Not a request, a command. She sat, hands trembling in her lap. Up close, he was terrifying. Sharp features, cold eyes that saw too much, a scar cutting across his jaw. 23 years old, he said calmly. 3 jobs, diner waitress, night janitor, weekend grocery bagger, basement apartment in Glenwood, and you've been searching for your brother Marcus for 6 months. Her stomach dropped. "How do you talked to a man named Choi last Tuesday. He mentioned a warehouse on the east side. You went there Thursday night, got chased off by security." He leaned forward slightly. "That warehouse belongs to me, the Han Syndicate. We run half the underground operations in this city." Behind the counter, an older woman named Mrs. Yoon watched with sharp eyes. She'd seen dangerous men before, but she'd never seen one look at someone like Ji-woon looked at Amina, like salvation and destruction wrapped into one. "What do you want from me?" Amina whispered. "Your brother was asking questions about my operations before he vanished. Same questions you're asking now." Ji-woon pulled a black business card from his pocket. Gold letters gleamed. Hancorp, Private Holdings. "Work for me, be my assistant. Help me find out who's betraying my organization from the inside. And if I refuse, then you'll never know what happened to Marcus, and neither will anyone else, because you'll disappear just like he did." The cafe door opened. A tall man in a black coat entered, his gaze immediately finding Amina. Cold, assessing, hostile. "Boss," the man said smoothly, "want me to deal with this?" "No, Seo Minjai. She's under my protection now." Minjai's eyes narrowed with barely concealed anger. "You're making a mistake." "I don't make mistakes." Ji-woon's tone could have frozen blood. Amina watched the exchange, instinct screaming danger. Minjai wanted her gone, but why? She looked at the card in her hand, then at Ji-woon. "If I do this, you'll help me find Marcus. I'll give you the truth, all of it, but only if you earn it. She thought of her brother's last text. I found something, I'll tell you soon. That was 6 months ago. The police had stopped looking after 2 weeks. What choice did she have? I'll do it. Ji-woon's expression didn't change. Good. Be at Hancorp Tower tomorrow morning. 7 sharp. Don't be late. As Amina stood to leave, Mrs. Yoon caught her eye from behind the counter. The older woman's expression held warning and something else, maybe hope. That girl has no idea what she's walking into, Mrs. Yoon thought. But maybe that's exactly what he needs. Someone who sees the man, not the monster. Have you ever stood at a crossroads, knowing that one choice would change everything? That's where Amina stood. And what came next would test everything she thought she knew about courage, sacrifice, and love. Hancorp Tower looked like it could slice the sky. Amina stood at the base, staring up at the black glass and steel. Last chance to run, she thought. But Marcus's face filled her mind, his laugh, the way he'd always protected her. She went inside. The lobby gleamed with cold marble. A receptionist directed her to a private elevator that rose without buttons, swallowing her into the building's heights. The doors opened to an office that looked like a war room. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul. Sleek furniture, and Ji-woon facing the city, his wheelchair silhouetted against the morning light. Punctual. That's promising. Amina stepped inside. You said you'd give me answers. After you give me results. He turned, sliding a tablet across the massive desk. A photo filled the screen. Seo Min-jae. My second in command. For 5 years I trusted him completely. Now I know better. You think he's involved with Marcus's disappearance? I think he's planning to kill me and take control of the syndicate. Your brother stumbled onto evidence of his betrayal. Ji-woon's fingers drummed once on the armrest. 2 weeks ago, a shipment of documents went missing. Financial records, names, proof of corruption. The same files Marcus was investigating. Amina leaned forward. What kind of documents? The kind that could destroy a man named Song Do-hyun, former partner, now my biggest enemy. He's been trying to dismantle my organization for 6 months, ever since the explosion that put me here. He gestured at the wheelchair. Someone bombed you. Someone who knew exactly where I'd be and when. Someone close. His jaw tightened. Min-jae has been moving money to offshore accounts, making encrypted calls, meeting with people I don't recognize, and I need proof before I can act. That's where I come in. You'll shadow him, track his movements, record his meetings. He thinks you're nobody, just some poor girl I hired out of pity. Use that. A chill ran down her spine. He'll kill me if he finds out. Then don't let him find out. Ji-woon opened a drawer and pulled out a folder. But first, you need to see something. He slid it across. Amina opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a photograph. Marcus, alive, in what looked like a basement. He had bruises on his face, but his eyes were clear, and he was holding up 3 fingers. Her vision blurred with tears. When was this taken? 3 weeks ago. 3 fingers. Her voice broke. That's our signal, from when we were kids. 3 fingers means I'm okay, don't worry. He's telling me he's still fighting. Then we fight for him too. Ji-woon's voice was firm. But I won't lie to you. The people holding him are dangerous. If we move too fast, they'll kill him. If we move too slow, we lose our chance. The timing has to be perfect. Amina wiped her eyes. I understand. A knock interrupted them. Mrs. Yoon entered carrying a tray with tea. She set it down gently, steam rising from delicate cups. "You look exhausted, child," she said to Amina with unexpected kindness. "Drink this. You'll need your strength." "Mrs. Yoon manages my household," Ji-woon explained. "She'll show you to your quarters and brief you on the building layout." As Amina stood, Ji-woon added, "One more thing. Trust no one here. Not my men, not my staff, not even me. Understand?" She met his gaze. "Then why should I stay?" "Because I'm the only one who can get your brother back alive. And you're the only one who can help me survive what's coming." His expression hardened. "We need each other, like it or not." Mrs. Yoon led Amina to a small but comfortable room on the 20th floor. A real bed, a clean bathroom, a window with a view she'd only seen in magazines. "Why is he really doing this?" Amina asked as Mrs. Yoon set fresh towels on the desk. The older woman paused. "I've served Han Ji-woon for 15 years. I've seen him hire assassins, hackers, lawyers who could argue the devil into heaven. But I've never seen him hire someone because they looked at him like he was human. I looked at him like he was terrifying." "No, child, you looked at him like he was a man, not a monster, not an object of pity, just a man." Mrs. Yoon's gaze was knowing. "That's rarer than you think, and more powerful." The next morning, Amina began following Min-jae. He moved through Hancorp like a king, inspecting his future kingdom. Meetings in glass conference rooms, phone calls in 3 languages. Orders delivered with casual cruelty. She stayed invisible, tablet in hand, pretending to organize schedules. But she watched everything. At noon, Min-jae left the building. Amina followed at a careful distance, pulse hammering. He went to an upscale tea house in Itaewon. Through the window, she saw him meet a Western man. Blonde, 40s, expensive suit. They spoke for 15 minutes. Then Min-jae slid an envelope across the table. The blonde man opened it, examined what looked like architectural blueprints, and smiled. Amina's hands shook as she took photos. She zoomed in, trying to capture details. Her phone buzzed loudly. Min-jae's head snapped toward the window. "No, no, no." Amina ducked behind a parked car, heart slamming against her ribs. She pressed herself flat against the cold metal, not breathing. Footsteps approached, stopped. Through the gap under the car, she saw expensive shoes, standing, waiting. Finally, they moved away. She counted to 60 before running. She burst into Ji-woon's office, breathless. He met someone. Foreign man, expensive suit. They exchanged blueprints. "Show me." She pulled up the photos. Ji-woon studied them, his expression darkening. Victor Cade, arms dealer for Song Do-hyun. He zoomed in on the blueprints. "These are floor plans of this building, my office, my roots. Everything. They're planning to attack. They're planning an assassination. Mine." He looked up at her. "How close did he get to you?" "Close enough that I almost got caught." "But you didn't." Something flickered in his eyes. Respect, maybe. "Well done." Those 2 words shouldn't have mattered, but warmth spread through her chest anyway. "What do we do now?" she asked. "Now we let Min-jae think he's winning, and we prepare for war." If you're hooked on this story and want to see how love survives betrayal and danger, subscribe now. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. That night, Min-jae called an emergency meeting. Every senior member of the Han Syndicate gathered in the main conference room. 15 men in dark suits, faces carved from stone. Amina sat in the back corner with other support staff, trying to blend into the walls. Min-jae stood at the head of the table. Ji-woon sat at the opposite end, perfectly still. "Gentlemen, we need to discuss our future," Min-jae began, his voice smooth. "6 months ago, an explosion nearly destroyed our leadership. Our boss survived, but the mafia we built faces unprecedented threats. Song Do-hyun is actively recruiting our people. Our territory shrinks daily, and we're vulnerable because the man at the top can no longer protect us the way we need." Murmurs rippled through the room. "I'm not suggesting betrayal," Min-jae continued, sounding almost regretful. "I'm suggesting evolution, a transition that ensures our survival, for everyone's sake." "Are you finished?" Ji-woon's voice cut like a blade. "Boss, I'm only trying to—" "You're trying to steal my organization." Ji-woon pressed a button on his wheelchair. The wall screen illuminated. Security footage appeared. Min-jae in the tea house. The envelope exchange. Victor Cade's smile. Min-jae's face went white. "Victor Cade works for Song Do-hyun," Ji-woon said calmly. "You've been feeding him our shipping routes, our financial vulnerabilities, our internal communications. All so Song could tear us apart while you positioned yourself to take over." "That's not—" Min-jae's voice cracked. "I have 6 months of evidence, bank transfers to offshore accounts, encrypted messages we decrypted, witness testimony." Ji-woon's gaze was ice. "Including footage of you selling those blueprints yesterday." He pressed another button. A new video played, clearer this time with audio. Min-jae's voice. "Friday night. Roof access. The target will be alone. Make it look like an accident." The room exploded in angry voices. "You were going to kill him," someone shouted. "Traitor!" Min-jae held up his hands. "Song has my sister. He said he'd kill her if I didn't cooperate. I had no choice." Ji-woon's expression didn't soften. "You had a choice. You could have come to me. I would have protected her. Instead, you chose betrayal and murder." "She's all I have left," Min-jae's voice broke. For one moment, Ji-woon's mask cracked. Something like pain flickered across his face, the understanding of someone who'd lost family too. Then it vanished. "Take him to the south wing. Lock him in the secure room. We'll decide his fate after we deal with Song." 2 guards moved forward. "And find his sister. If she's really in danger, we'll extract her, but Min-jae pays for his choices regardless." As they dragged Min-jae away, his desperate shouts echoed. "I'm sorry, boss, please, I had no choice." The room emptied quickly. No one wanted to be near Ji-woon's anger. Only Amina remained. Ji-woon stared at the empty doorway, his hands trembling on the armrests. "That must have been hard," she said quietly. "He was like family." "Family is the worst betrayal of all." His voice was hollow, "because you never see it coming." She approached slowly. "You couldn't have prevented this." "I'm supposed to know. That's what leaders do. They see threats before they materialize." His jaw clenched. "I failed everyone." "No." She knelt beside his wheelchair, meeting his eyes. "You caught him before anyone got hurt. You protected your people. That's what matters." "I caught him because of you, without your surveillance." He stopped. "If you hadn't been there, I'd be dead by Friday." The weight of that hung between them. "Why did you really choose me?" Amina asked. "The real reason." Ji-woon was silent for a long moment. then. Because when you walked into that cafe, you didn't see the wheelchair first. You saw me, just a man. And I haven't felt like just a man in longer than I can remember. Her breath caught. I see you now too. Not the crime boss, not the invalid, just someone carrying too much weight alone. You shouldn't. His voice roughened. I'm not a good person, Amina. I've hurt people, destroyed lives. Maybe, but you're trying to be better. I can see it. She placed her hand over his. And I'm not going anywhere. His eyes glistened. For the first time, the infamous Han Ji-woon looked vulnerable. Thank you, he whispered. 3 days of hell. Wednesday, a warehouse burned on the east side. 2 of Ji-woon's legitimate businesses were vandalized. Spray paint, broken windows, threatening messages left in blood-red letters. 5 of his men were jumped outside a restaurant, beaten badly enough to send 3 to the hospital. Thursday, more fires, more attacks. A car bomb in a parking garage, thankfully empty, but the message was clear. Death threats arrived hourly through encrypted channels, each one more specific and brutal than the last. Song Do-hyun was making his final move, tightening the noose, pushing Ji-woon to make a mistake. Then Thursday evening, just as sunset painted the sky blood red, Amina's phone rang. Unknown number. Her hands shook as she answered. Hello. Heavy breathing. Static crackle. Then, Mina. Her entire world stopped. Marcus. Mina, listen. His voice was strained, painful. Don't trust Ji-woon. You need to listen to me. He's lying about everything. He's the one who took me. It was him all along. He's been holding me for months. A grunt of pain. Scuffling sounds. The line went dead. Amina stared at her phone, her hands trembling so violently she almost dropped it. Her mind raced through possibilities, probabilities, horrible explanations. What if it's true? What if Ji-woon orchestrated everything? What if I've been helping my brother's kidnapper this whole time? She ran, through corridors, into the elevator, burst into Ji-woon's office without knocking, without thought, without anything but desperate need for truth. Did you take my brother? The words tore from her throat, raw and ragged. Tell me the truth right now. Did you take Marcus? Ji-woon looked up from his laptop, expression unreadable. Who told you that? He did. Marcus, I just got a call. He said you're the one who kidnapped him, that you've been lying this whole time. Tears streamed down her face. Tell me the truth. It's a manipulation tactic. Ji-woon wheeled toward her with unsettling calm. Song is playing psychological warfare, trying to turn you against me right before his final attack. That wasn't Marcus. It was his voice. Voice synthesis technology is remarkably advanced. He pulled out his phone. Listen to this. He played a recording. Her own voice. I trust Ji-woon completely. She froze. I never said that. Exactly. I can generate audio of you saying anything using samples from surveillance footage. Song has the same capability. His gaze bored into hers. Think rationally, Amina. If I kidnapped your brother, why would I show you proof he's alive? Why help you at all? Why not just use you and dispose of you when you became inconvenient? Because you needed someone to spy on Minjai. I could have used anyone for that. Professional surveillance, trained operatives, people who actually know what they're doing. His voice was sharp, cutting through her panic. I didn't need you specifically, Amina. I chose you. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. but doubt ate at her like acid. Ji-woon sighed and pulled up a video on his laptop. "Watch this, recorded this morning." The video played. Marcus in the same basement, today's newspaper clearly visible beside him. Headline about a stock market crash, date unmistakable. Marcus looked thinner, more exhausted, but he was looking directly at the camera, speaking carefully. "Mina, if you're seeing this, I need you to understand something. Song Do-hyun is holding me, has been for months. He keeps saying he'll release me if Ji-woon surrenders the syndicate and the files I found. But I've heard him talking to his men. He's going to kill me anyway. And he's going to kill you if you're anywhere near Ji-woon when he makes his move." Marcus's voice broke slightly. "Trust Ji-woon, Mina. I know that sounds insane. I know you're scared, but he's the only one who can get me out of this. Please, don't let Song turn you against him. That's exactly what he wants. He wants you scared and confused and alone. Don't give him that power." The video ended. Amina's legs gave out. Ji-woon caught her before she hit the floor, his arms surprisingly strong as he guided her into a chair. "I'm sorry I didn't show you this sooner," he said quietly. "I was trying to spare you additional pain, but Song is escalating. He's going to do everything he can to break you before Friday." "When was that recorded?" 6 hours ago. Song sent it to me as proof of life and as bait." He pulled up another image, a text message. He sent this with it. The message read, "Friday, Pier 7, midnight. You and the files. Or the boy dies screaming. Come alone or come with an army. Either way, he's dead if you don't show." Amina pressed her hands to her face, trying to stop the tears, trying to think through the fear and confusion. Why would Song do this? Why take Marcus in the first place? "Because your brother found something that could destroy him completely." Ji-woon opened his laptop and pulled up a secure folder. "Come here, I'll show you." On shaking legs, she moved to stand beside his wheelchair. He clicked through files, dozens of them, hundreds. Marcus was working as a night security guard at a corporate office building. During one of his rounds, he stumbled onto a server room that shouldn't have been there. Got curious, started digging. Ji-woon pulled up bank statements. He found proof that Song Do-hyun has been embezzling government infrastructure funds for 5 years. Roads that were never paved, bridges that were never built, schools that never got renovated. $73 million stolen from taxpayers. He pulled up more files. Evidence linking Song to international arms sales, weapons shipped to known terrorist organizations, proof of money laundering through legitimate businesses, communications with corrupt government officials. His expression darkened. And the smoking gun, proof that Song orchestrated the explosion at my warehouse 6 months ago. He planted the bomb specifically to kill me. It wasn't about weakening my position. It was about murder. Amina's eyes widened. Why didn't it work? Pure luck. I was supposed to be standing in a different section of the building. But one of my men asked me a question, delayed me by 90 seconds. The bomb went off while I was between support columns. The blast threw me backward instead of incinerating me. Broke my spine in 3 places. Should have been fatal, but I survived. He looked up at her, and in that moment he looked tired, so tired. Marcus copied all these files before Song's people discovered him. Hid them in a train station locker. Left me a coded message before he was captured. Coordinates and a password hidden in a text to a burner phone. I decrypted it 3 weeks ago, retrieved the files, and since then, Song has been desperate to get them back and eliminate the only witness who can authenticate them in court. Marcus, exactly. Ji-woon closed the laptop. If these files go public, Song faces life in prison or execution. Either way, his empire crumbles. His political connections evaporate. Everything he's built comes crashing down. So we give him what he wants, give him fake files, set a trap. Ji-woon studied her, something like admiration crossing his features. You think tactically that's rare, most people panic. I'm desperate. There's a difference. No, Amina, you're brilliant. You're brave. And you've given me something I thought died in that explosion 6 months ago. What? Hope. He reached up and touched her face gently, his thumb brushing away tears. Hope that maybe I can be more than what I've become, that maybe there's still something worth fighting for besides power and survival. Her breath caught. The air between them felt electric, dangerous, inevitable. Ji-woon, I know this is insane, he said quietly. I know you barely know me. I know I'm probably the last man you should trust. His voice dropped to barely above a whisper. But you're the first person in a decade who made me want to be worthy of trust, who made me remember what it feels like to care about someone more than strategy and power, who looked at me and saw a man instead of a weapon. Tears slipped down her cheeks. You're already worthy. You've always been worthy. You just couldn't see it because you've been alone for too long. Then help me. His hand found hers, fingers interlacing. Help me get your brother back. Help me take down Song. And maybe we can both find a way out of this darkness. She nodded, unable to speak, past the lump in her throat. The plan took shape over the next 20 hours, detailed, dangerous, with about 1,000 ways it could go fatally wrong. Friday night. Pier 7, the abandoned industrial dock, on the east side where Song had specified. Ji-woon would arrive with what looked like the original files. Song would bring Marcus for the exchange, but Amina would be hidden nearby with the real files on an encrypted drive. The moment Marcus was secure, she'd upload everything to multiple news outlets, law enforcement agencies, and international authorities simultaneously. Song would be destroyed within hours. If they survived that long. What about your men? Amina asked as they reviewed the plan for the 7th time. Won't Song be suspicious if you show up alone? I won't be alone. My men will surround the area, rooftops, containers, boat access points. But they'll be invisible until I give the signal. Ji-woon traced the dock layout on a map. Song expects a trap. He's not stupid, but he also knows I have no choice. If I don't show, he kills Marcus. If I show with obvious backup, he kills Marcus. Either way, he wins unless we're smarter. And if something goes wrong, his jaw tightened, then you run. No heroics, no trying to save me. You take those files and you run as fast as you can to the nearest police station, understand? I'm not leaving you to die. You will if I order it. His tone left no room for argument. Your brother needs you alive. I need you alive. Promise me that if things go bad, you'll save yourself. She wanted to refuse, wanted to argue, but the look in his eyes, fierce and protective and absolutely serious, made her nod. Good. That night, neither of them could sleep. Amina stood on the small balcony outside her room, staring at the city lights stretching to the horizon. Behind her, the door opened quietly. Jiwoon wheeled onto the balcony. He'd changed into black tactical clothing, still looked expensive, but practical, ready for war. "Couldn't sleep either?" she asked softly. "No." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. The wind was sharp, carrying the smell of rain. She shivered. Without a word, he shrugged out of his jacket and held it up to her. Such a simple gesture, so human and normal, and completely at odds with everything he represented. She took it, warmth spreading through her chest as she pulled it around her shoulders. It smelled like him, expensive cologne, and something darker, more complex. "If something happens tomorrow," she began, "nothing will happen. But if it does, it won't, because I won't allow it." His voice was steel, wrapped in certainty. "Do you understand? I will not let anything happen to you. Not Song, not his men, not the universe itself. You're under my protection, and I don't fail the people I protect." She turned to face him, and the intensity in his eyes took her breath away. "Why do you care so much about me?" He was quiet for a heartbeat, too. Then, "Because you're the first person in 10 years who made me want to be more than what I am. Who made me believe I could be. Who looked at a man in a wheelchair and didn't see weakness or pity or opportunity, just saw someone worth knowing. You're worth knowing. I'm a criminal, Amina. I've ordered deaths, hurt innocent people caught in crossfire, ruined lives and destroyed families for profit and power." His voice turned harsh. "I've done things that would make you run screaming if you knew the details. Things I can't take back. Things I'll answer for eventually." "Then tell me, all of it, everything." So he did. He told her about the gang wars that built the syndicate, street fights that became territory battles, that became full-scale conflicts, the bodies left behind, the families torn apart. He told her about the people who'd betrayed him, the ones he'd trusted who'd put knives in his back, and the cold, calculated revenge he'd taken on each of them. He told her about the explosion in the warehouse, waking up in a hospital bed, unable to feel his legs, surrounded by doctors saying he'd never walk again, the rage, the despair, the nights he'd considered ending it because a leader in a wheelchair was a contradiction, a target, a man already dead. And he told her about the cafe, that rainy afternoon when his girlfriend walked out, when everyone looked at him with pity or fear, when he felt more alone than he'd ever felt in his life. And then Amina had walked in. "You were soaked and shaking and scared," he said quietly. "But when you looked at me, you didn't see the wheelchair first. You saw a person, just a man, and something in me that had been dead started breathing again." His voice cracked. "You saved me that day, Amina, and you didn't even know it. Didn't mean to. You just existed in my space for 5 minutes and reminded me what it felt like to be human instead of a monster wearing human skin." Tears streamed down her face. "You're not a monster." "I've done monstrous things." "Maybe, but you're trying to be better. I see it. Every choice you make, you're trying to protect people instead of hurt them. You're dismantling the illegal operations, building legitimate businesses, saving Minjai's sister even though he betrayed you." She took his hands in hers. "That's not a monster. That's someone fighting their way toward redemption." "I don't deserve redemption." "None of us do. But we get it anyway if we're brave enough to reach for it." She knelt beside his wheelchair, bringing them eye to eye. "Let me help you reach for it. Let's save each other tomorrow and every day after." He pulled her close, their foreheads touching. I don't know how to do this. The soft thing, the vulnerable thing, the romance thing. Neither do I, she admitted. I've never even been in a real relationship. Then we'll figure it out together. His hand cupped her face. If we survive tomorrow, if we get Marcus back and stop Song and somehow make it out of this alive, will you stay? Will you build something with me? Something real? Yes. The word came out as a whisper, a prayer, a promise. Yes, I'll stay. I'll build something with you, because despite everything, despite all the darkness and danger and impossibility of this situation, I think I'm falling in love with you. He kissed her then, soft at first, tentative, like he'd forgotten how. Then deeper, more certain, full of need and hope, and desperate, fragile possibility. When they pulled apart, both were crying. I love you, he whispered against her lips. I don't know how it happened so fast. Don't know if it's real or just survival instinct, or my brain breaking under pressure. But I love you, Amina Brooks, and I'm going to keep you safe tomorrow. I swear it. I love you too, she whispered back, and I'm going to keep you safe too. We're partners now, in everything. They held each other on that balcony until dawn broke over the city, painting everything gold and red and full of dangerous promise. Tomorrow would come, and they would face it together. Friday night, Pier 7, abandoned, rusted metal groaning against wind, waves crashing like thunder, salt and decay heavy in the air. Ji-woon's men surrounded the area, shadows with weapons, invisible but ready. Ji-woon entered alone, Amina walking beside him. His wheelchair navigated the uneven ground carefully. Song Do-hyun waited in the clearing's center, flanked by 12 armed men. Before him, tied to a support beam, was Marcus, alive but barely, bruised, thin, exhausted. Marcus, Amina lunged forward. Ji-woon's hand shot out, stopping her. Not yet, he murmured. Song smiled, silver-haired, snake-eyed, radiating calculated menace. Han Ji-woon, you look terrible. Being in that chair really doesn't suit you. Being a coward doesn't suit you, but here we are. Ji-woon's voice was cold. Coward? I prefer strategist. Song gestured to Marcus. Your boy stumbled onto things he shouldn't have, but business is business. Give me the files and the syndicate, and they both walk free. And if I refuse, Song pressed a gun to Marcus's temple. Then I redecorate this pier. Amina's breath froze. Ji-woon's expression hardened. Release them first. Once they're safe, I'll transfer everything. Codes, accounts, contacts, files, everything you need. Song laughed. You think I'm an idiot? I think you're smart enough to know I won't cooperate if she's dead. Kill her, you get nothing. Release them, you get my empire. Song considered. Fine, the boy first. He shoved Marcus forward. Amina caught him as he collapsed, his weight nearly dragging them both down. Mina, Marcus gasped. I'm so sorry. I should have listened. I should have. Shh, it's over. You're safe now. She held him tight, tears streaming. Now her, Song ordered. Amina looked back at Ji-woon. His face was calm, but his eyes screamed one word. Run. I'm not leaving you, she whispered. Yes, you are. Marcus needs you. His tone left no room for argument. Go, now. She hesitated, then helped Marcus stumble toward the exit. Behind her, Song raised his gun at Ji-woon's head. You know I can't let you live. Those files will destroy me, so you're the final loose end. Ji-woon smiled coldly. I know. Song's finger tightened on the trigger, and gunfire erupted from every direction. Ji-woon's hidden men opened fire. Song's guards scrambled. Bullets ricocheted off metal. Chaos exploded. Ji-woon threw himself from his wheelchair, rolling behind cover. A bullet grazed his shoulder. He grunted but kept moving. Amina screamed his name. "Go!" Marcus tried pulling her away, but she couldn't move, couldn't leave him. Song ran for a boat at the pier's edge, his men covering his retreat. "Stop him!" Ji-woon shouted, and then he stood up. His legs trembled, his face contorted with pain, but he rose, slowly, agonizingly, to his feet, and ran, not smoothly, not effortlessly, but he moved with desperate determination. Amina's heart nearly burst. He's been relearning to walk, all this time in secret. Ji-woon reached Song just as he climbed into the boat. He grabbed Song's collar and yanked him backward. They crashed onto the pier together, grappling. Song swung. Ji-woon blocked and drove his elbow into Song's ribs. Song gasped, kicked out. Ji-woon's weak leg buckled, but he stayed upright, fury keeping him moving. He grabbed Song's throat. "You took 6 months of my life, tried to take my organization, tried to take her." Song clawed at his grip, choking. "You're just like me." "No." Ji-woon's voice was deadly calm. "I'm nothing like you." He raised his gun, pressing it to Song's chest. "Wait." Amina's voice cut through the chaos. She stood nearby, phone raised. "Don't kill him." Ji-woon's hand shook. "Why not? He deserves to die." "Because if you kill him, you become what he says you are." She stepped closer. "Let him face real justice. Let the world see what he is." Ji-woon stared at her, at Song, at the gun trembling in his hand. Every instinct screamed to pull the trigger, to end it, but Amina's eyes held him steady, kept him human. Slowly, he lowered the weapon. "You're right." He hauled Song upright. "He'll face the law." Song spat blood. "The law? I own half the judges in Seoul. You'll never touch me." "Wrong." Amina held up her phone. "I just sent every file Marcus found to the Seoul Times, the police commissioner, the prosecutor's office, and Interpol. Your face will be on every screen in the country by dawn, and everyone will know exactly what you are." Song's face went white with understanding. Police sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Ji-woon's men melted into shadows, vanishing like smoke. Song's guards were subdued, disarmed, on their knees. And in the center of it all, Ji-woon stood, bleeding, trembling, but standing, with Amina beside him. Marcus limped over, supported by Mrs. Yoon, who'd appeared as if materializing from nowhere. "Is it really over?" "Yeah." Amina's voice cracked with exhausted relief. "It's really over." 2 weeks later, the hospital room hummed with quiet monitors. Sunlight streamed through windows, warm and healing. Ji-woon sat propped in bed, shoulder bandaged, legs in compression wraps. Doctors said he'd pushed his rehabilitation dangerously hard, that he needed rest, but he was alive, whole, at peace for the first time in memory. Amina sat beside him, fingers interlaced with his. She hadn't left his side. "You need rest too," Ji-woon said softly. "I'll rest when you do." She squeezed his hand. He smiled, stubborn. "Takes one to know one." The door opened. Marcus entered, moving carefully but steadily. Bruises fading, eyes clear and bright. "Hey," he said. "Hey yourself." Amina stood and embraced him carefully. "Feeling better?" "Much. Doctors say I'll be fine. No permanent damage." He looked at Ji-woon. "Can we talk? Just us?" Amina glanced between them. "I'll be right outside." She left, door clicking shut. Marcus pulled a chair close. Silence stretched between them. Then, "Thank you for saving her, for saving me, for risking everything." Ji-woon shook his head. "Your sister saved herself. Saved both of us, really. I just helped." "No." Marcus's voice was firm. "You risked your empire, your life, for strangers. Why?" Ji-woon looked toward the door. "Because she reminded me what it feels like to be human, to care about something beyond power and survival." He turned back. "Your sister is extraordinary. I don't deserve her, but I'll spend my life trying to." Marcus studied him carefully. "If you hurt her, I don't care how powerful you are. I'll find a way to end you." Ji-woon smiled, genuine, warm. "Fair enough." Marcus stood, extending his hand. "For what it's worth, I think she's in love with you too. She just hasn't said it yet." "I can wait." They shook hands. An understanding passed between them. 3 days later, Ji-woon was discharged. He walked out with a cane, Amina supporting his other arm. "Where to?" she asked. "Somewhere I want you to see." They drove to the Han estate, sprawling grounds on Seoul's outskirts, traditional architecture blending with modern design. Gardens with koi ponds, stone paths winding through carefully tended beauty. "I grew up here," Ji-woon said as they walked slowly through the gardens. "Before everything got complicated. It's breathtaking. It's been empty for years. I couldn't bear being here after my father died." He stopped beside a pond, watching koi drift in lazy patterns. "He built this for my mother. She loved gardens." "What happened to her?" "Cancer when I was 16. My father tried holding the organization together after, but grief made him vulnerable. His enemies saw weakness and struck." "I'm so sorry. It was long ago." He turned to her. "But I'm telling you because I want you to understand something. I spent my adult life believing love was weakness, that caring gave others power over you. And now I know I was wrong. You didn't weaken me, Amina. You made me stronger, strong enough to stand, strong enough to believe I could be more." Tears welled in her eyes. "Ji-woon, I love you." The words came rough, unpracticed. "I don't know fancy ways to say it. I just love you." Her breath caught. "You don't have to." "Yes, I do, because you deserve to hear it." He cupped her face. "I know I'm not easy to love. I come with history and danger, and a past I can't erase. But if you'll take a chance on me, if you'll build something real with this stubborn, broken man, I swear I'll spend every day trying to be worthy of you." She was crying now. "You're already worthy. You've always been worthy." "Then say you'll stay. Say you'll build something with me." "Yes." It came out as a sob. "Yes, I love you too, Ji-woon. I think I have since that first day." He kissed her, soft, deep, full of promise. When they separated, he rested his forehead against hers. "I'm dismantling the syndicate, all illegal operations. I'm building something legitimate, real estate development, community programs, things that help instead of hurt." "That's incredible. But I can't do it alone. I need someone who understands fighting for survival. Someone who sees people others ignore." He paused. "I need you as my partner, running community outreach, building programs for people like you, overlooked, underestimated. You'd be perfect." She laughed through tears. "Are you offering me a job or proposing?" "Both. Eventually," he smiled. "But let's start with the job." "Yes to all of it." She kissed him again. "Let's build something beautiful together." 1 year later, Moonbridge Cafe, the same table, rain against windows, but everything was different. Amina wore a warm coat, good shoes, and a simple diamond ring. Ji-woon walked to the table, no wheelchair, no cane. Just confidence earned through pain. "Remember our first time here?" he asked, sitting across from her. "You mean when you basically kidnapped me?" He laughed, free and warm. "I prefer strategically recruited. That's what we'll tell our kids someday." His eyes widened. "Kids?" she grinned. "I was thinking at least 2, maybe 3. If that's what you want, then that's what we'll have." He took her hand across the table. Mrs. Yoon appeared with tea. She'd sold the cafe months ago, but still visited. "Look at you two. A real inspirational romance. The kind that reminds people love is worth fighting for." After she left, Ji-woon squeezed Amina's hand. "She's right about us being worth the fight. About everything." Amina smiled. "A year ago, I never imagined having this, a real future." "This isn't normal," Ji-woon teased. "Normal people don't have private security following them everywhere. It's our normal, and I wouldn't trade it." That evening, at a community center in Glenwood, Amina stood before a packed room. Families, teenagers, single mothers, people who looked like she once did, tired, scared, invisible. "Thank you for coming," she said, voice steady. "A year ago, I worked 3 jobs and barely survived. I didn't think I'd ever have more. But then I met someone who showed me survival isn't the same as living, that we all deserve more than just surviving." She gestured to Ji-woon at the room's side. "The Brooks Hahn Foundation offers job training, scholarships, housing assistance, and mentorship. Because everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves to be seen." Applause filled the room. Marcus stepped onto the stage beside her, guitar in hand. He'd been teaching music to neighborhood kids, giving them what he'd almost lost. "And we're opening a youth center next month," Marcus added. "Music, art, sports, a safe place for kids to just be kids." After the event, Ji-woon and Amina stood outside, watching families leave. Children laughed and played. Parents thanked them with tearful gratitude. "We did this," Amina whispered. "Here we did it together." He wrapped his arm around her. "That's what partners do." Speaking of partners, he pulled a small box from his pocket. Inside was a key. "What's this?" "The Hahn estate, fully renovated, gardens restored, everything ready." He smiled softly. "I want it to be ours, our home, where we build our family." Tears filled her eyes. "Ji-woon, you're not just marrying me, you're building a life with me, a real life we choose every day." She threw her arms around him. "Yes, yes to everything." 6 months later, a garden ceremony at the Hahn estate. White flowers, soft music, only close family and friends. Amina walked down the aisle between her grandmother and Marcus. Her simple white dress glowed in the sunlight. Ji-woon stood at the altar, tears streaming. He'd never imagined deserving this moment. When she reached him, he whispered, "You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." "You're not so bad yourself." Vows were exchanged, rings blessed, and when they kissed, everyone erupted in joyful applause. At the reception, Mrs. Yoon raised her glass. "To Ji-woon and Amina Hahn, you've proven that love isn't about power or perfection. It's about partnership, choosing each other every day, no matter what comes. You're a motivational reminder that even the darkest beginnings can lead to the brightest endings." Ji-woon stood, Amina's hand in his. "I spent my life believing strength meant standing alone, that asking for help was weakness, that love was a liability. He looked at Amina. Then this woman walked into a cafe and showed me I was wrong about everything. She didn't fix me or save me. She stood beside me. And that made all the difference. Amina, you're the bravest person I know. I'll spend my life trying to be worthy of you. Amina stood, crying and smiling. You already are. They kissed as everyone cheered. Late that night, alone in the garden, they sat by the koi pond. Lanterns glowed softly. Moonlight painted everything silver. Do you ever think about that first day? Amina asked. Every day. How close I came to letting pride destroy me. But you didn't, she smiled. And look where we are now. She placed his hand on her stomach, smiling through tears. Amina, are you? She nodded. We're having a baby. Han Ji-woon, former crime boss, explosion survivor, the man who'd faced death countless times, couldn't speak. Then he laughed, pure and joyful, echoing through the garden. He pulled her close. We're going to be parents. We are. Are you scared? Terrified, but also the happiest I've ever been. Me too. They sat watching the koi swim beneath moonlight. Somewhere in the city, the foundation was helping its 100th family. Marcus was planning the youth center's grand opening. Mrs. Yoon was probably already knitting baby clothes. And here, in this garden, two people who should never have met had built something miraculous from wreckage. You know what? Amina said softly. What? That moment in the cafe when that woman walked out. That was when everything changed. Not just for you, for both of us. Because you could have stayed bitter. But when I walked in, you looked up. You saw me. And everything after, the danger, the fear, the love, started because you chose to see me. He cupped her face. And you chose to see me. Not the wheelchair, not the crime boss, just the man who needed someone to believe in him. I'll always believe in you. And I'll always protect you and our child. I swear it. She kissed him softly. I know, that's why I chose you. Why I'll keep choosing you every single day. Across the city, in Moonbridge Cafe, the same table sat empty. Rain fell against glass. Yellow light glowed warm inside. But everything was different. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive perfect. Sometimes it walks in soaking wet and scared. Sometimes it sits broken and bitter. But if you're brave enough to stay, brave enough to see past surfaces, brave enough to choose love when it's hardest, then the ending writes itself, and it's always, always worth it. Because real love isn't about being saved, it's about saving each other every single day. This is the kind of romance that reminds us why we believe in love. Not because it's easy, but because it's real. Stories like these don't just entertain, they heal. They remind us that every ending can be a beginning if we're brave enough to take the first step. If this story touched your heart, subscribe now and hit that bell. More stories are waiting, stories of courage, redemption, and love that conquers all. Because everyone deserves a happily ever after, no matter where they started. Thank you for listening. Until next time, remember, the bravest thing you can do is choose love when the world says you shouldn't. And the most beautiful thing you can build is a life with someone who sees you for exactly who you are. Good night, and may your own love story be just as brave.